Hello and welcome to the show. We are here on GTA 5 at the top of Mt Chiliad for some more downhill chaos, again with three vehicles that were very much not designed with some off-roading in mind, but this is GTA so I can do whatever I like with them, hence why the Alfa 4C here is going to be thrown down the mountain. You can get a really rather good flamethrower going on from this vehicle. 4C, a very, very quick car on here, plenty of acceleration. It has one slight flaw. For whatever reason, this opening section is horrible with the Alfa Romeo. Trying to get it through these first few corners, the Alfa really doesn't like that part of the course. Everywhere else, this car is remarkably good. That opening section had some big issues, although coming around the second to last corner got a little bit carried away on the throttle across the bumps. The car kind of bounced sideways, tried to catch it in time, wasn't going to be able to do it, and sure enough, we got fired off the course. This is where we was having the biggest problems. The 4C getting a little bit launched onto its side, just about managed to keep it on the road. And I love how the hikers stopped to take a picture of me very nearly plummeting off the mountain in the Alfa Romeo. But there you go. Again, it was kind of fighting the back end. The car got sort of very twitchy down that first part, and now we go for many flips and twists, and eventually we come to a rest, having lost the door of the 4C. Yeah, I don't know why it was particularly. Everywhere else, the car was lovely, but that first part, we had some huge issues. They carry a lot of corner speed everywhere else. Sometimes just a little bit too much corner speed for your own good. And yeah, again, the back end just went. I kind of just about caught it all in time, but it wasn't enough to really save the run. Didn't take particularly long to get a good run out of this vehicle. The 4C is phenomenal down here. It is a really very good car going down Chiliad. It is a little bit of a pain down this first section. You had to be kind of quite careful, had to be quite wary that it could get a little bit twitchy and everything could go very wrong. You had to be a little bit slow just to make sure you got through there safely. If you tried to push it too hard through that first bit, that's when you got into big trouble. Everywhere else around this course, though, the 4C was amazing. I mean, you'd expect a little sports car like this not to be particularly good over the bumps and the jumps of this course, but honestly, this is probably one of the best vehicles I've had, the best cars, certainly, for dealing with this particular course. It was fantastic around here. Dealt with the bumps perfectly well. Could carry so much corner speed if you got things lined up correctly. It was incredibly forgiving as well. For going down Chiliad, it was a very forgiving vehicle. The brakes were good. Yeah, a really solid overall car. It even didn't get affected by the bushes that much, which is a rarity often. And even when things were looking all out of shape coming into the second to last corner, managed to find some grip, managed to get away with it and fly across the line flat out. It was yeah, a little bit frantic last couple of corners there. Just as I went to turn into the second to last corner, we kind of got bumped, and that was a little bit of a panic and fight, but the car has more than enough grip to deal with it all, and the 4C made it down the mountain. Yeah, very impressive how well this car dealt with the bumps of Chiliad. Up next, we go to the Honda NSX, a car I very much like. The NSX. Have great history with this car on for the various Forza games. Was hoping that it would go well down at Chiliad, and of course we've got it in the very bright lime green. Again, can get a pretty decent flamethrower going on with this car. Now, the Alfa slightly spoiled me. In this kind of session of filming, the Alfa was really very good, incredibly good handling. The NSX is much more what you would expect from a sports car trying to go down this very fast off-road course. It was quite uncomfortable with all of it. This first run got bounced around a little bit and, well, very much got the car wedge. Next run ran a little bit wide. Tried to keep my foot down. Wasn't a good idea. I should have backed off. After running wide, I couldn't quite save it after the back of the car. I just kind of flicked off of the rock. Put it up onto its side, and sure enough, we've managed to fall off the course a little bit. The NSX wasn't very comfortable dealing with the bumps. You often could hear the chassis scraping along the floor. At that time there, everything kind of went wrong when I hit a coyote, and it put me out of position for one corner, and then out of position for the next one, and then I was out wide, and then we kind of fell off the end of a jump. That's never a good thing. Again, you see the back end jumping up in the air as we run across some of the bumps. Just about managed to control that one, but next corner round, the NSX goes for a roll. There is a weird bug with the Honda that surprised the crap out of me when I did that. When kind of body parts fall off, a weird ghost car appears. I've never seen that bug with any of the mod cars I've used, so yeah, that's a new one. Again, trying to get the car stopped and running a little bit wide. The NSX just didn't really like the bumps. It felt far too stiff for going down this course, which is what, again, you would expect that from a sports car, unlike with the 4C. But yeah, this wasn't particularly compliant with the bumps. You could have a big crash across that section. It's not exactly uncommon to see things go wrong down there, certainly, and the NSX went for a relatively spectacular tumble. Didn't quite like the bumps out there. Coming up towards this jump, we have seen this with a few cars, and certainly more so on PC than I have on any of the other consoles I've played, and I've driven down Chiliad. Running a little bit wide, coming onto that jump, and kind of being slow across the jump, and the car kind of just falling off the end. Yeah, that was a little bit of a concern. The NSX, it certainly wasn't a bad car. This is why I started by saying I was slightly spoiled by the Alfa, because the NSX certainly, you know, not a bad car going down here. There's plenty of speed in the vehicle. I mean, we're up towards, the 75 mile an hour mark, and not many cars have gone above 90 or got even near 90, let alone got above it down that part of the course. 75, 80 miles an hour down there is very, very good for this course. So there's good acceleration. There is good brakes in the NSX as well, and the handling is certainly not too bad. It just, going from the 4C to driving this just felt a lot more uncomfortable on the course. It kind of gets bounced around. You can kind of see it as well, just on video here. You can see the car just gets chucked around that little bit more across the jumps. You'll hear it clattering against the floor a lot more than you did with the Alfa. You'll see it also picking up the odd wheel here and there, going on three wheels around corners. It just didn't particularly like going down Chiliad, which is perhaps is to be expected from a sports car. Come across the jump, still can carry some good speed down here. It's certainly not sluggish down the course. You just have to be a little bit more careful. Again, another car that wasn't too fussed about driving through the bushes, which is always nice to have that. You see the car getting thrown about and bounced around across the second to last corner, flat out around the final turn, and is across the line for the NSX. And then we have a big wobbly moment after crossing it, and some more ghost cars appear. We may have got such a strange bug. Such a really, really strange bug. I don't know what caused it to flip after crossing the finish line either. It was relatively controlled. And, all of a sudden, it kind of just asked a little too much of the car. I think it was slightly in the air and going slightly sideways, and it just caught and wanted to go over. So, yeah, pretty sizable shunt after jumping across the finish line. And unfortunately, a colony of rabbits decided to run underneath the Honda. Never helpful when they do that one. Yeah, a good enough car, and certainly no on tarmac, great thing to drive, but down Chiliad, yes, it felt slightly uncomfortable. And our final vehicle is the Ruf, the CTR Yellowbird. A very, very, very fast car. This one, the Yellowbird, I do like this car. It is very, very quick. It's ridiculously fast in a straight line, this car. Again, of course, we can get some impressive flamethrower action going on from this car. The acceleration is fantastic. Very quick car to get up to speed. It does actually have some of the kind of handling traits that I'm used to this vehicle in from Forza games. It does not quite wheelie, but certainly under heavy acceleration, you can kind of see the car almost sort of rearing up. So yeah, that was something interesting to deal with going down Chiliad. I was carrying a lot of speed on this opening run through a corner that the Ruf, it couldn't quite do it. It tried. We kind of made it around the corner, but in doing so, we turned a bit too much and sort of rolled and flipped off the mountain. This was by far the fastest of the cars, acceleration-wise and top speed-wise. that went down here. The Alfa 4C and the NSX, for that matter, both are quick cars, but nothing like this one. And that gives its own sets a problem. When you have a car that's as fast accelerating as this, it's very easy to find yourself going at a lot higher speed into a corner than you were quite expecting. So you've got to adjust your braking points accordingly, and in this case, well, I didn't. And this is the outcome. When things go wrong on this course, they go spectacularly wrong. I'm pretty sure I lost almost all of the panels that I could. I love how the doors just kind of slide up alongside the stricken Ruf. Well, you know, as I said, this is one of the fastest cars here. You still got to be able to make the most of the power as and where you can. I do quite like this one. Too much speed. I couldn't quite get it stopped in time. A very graceful roll and then parked on a fence. I've crashed cars in many ways on Chiliad. I can't say I've ever had a car with the front end parked on top of the fence. Again, such speed down there was causing me a few issues. Turned in a little too soon, and sure enough, the car ran across the banking, flipped over. Wasn't expecting to see that necessarily from the Ruf, but yeah, that was something to again be wary of, and certainly this car had a few more problems with it. Across the high-speed jump there, it just didn't really get settled at any point down that section. You saw the car kind of moving from side to side and just couldn't quite get it under control for the landing, and then you're going to have an off. If you can't get it under control for the landing here, you're going to have an off. And again, on the approach to the jump, I just clipped a slight bank on the left-hand side. It tipped the car enough so that as I left the jump, all manner of things went wrong, and the Ruf went for yet another tumble. And that section was proving to be a little bit of a pain for this car. Things very nearly went wrong to that turn. Just kept it all together, but there's a slight bump before you leave the jump there, and the Ruf got airborne all at the wrong time, and again we see the car kind of just fall off the end of the jump and ended up pointing the wrong way. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate down there. May have given a little bit too much welly on that attempt. I'd lined myself up lovely, leaving the corner. Thought, oh yeah, we'll go for a little bit of speed. I didn't get on the brakes soon enough, and it was a big crash. Definitely the biggest crash, I think, of the entire session. That one there, big end over end flip for the Yellowbird. Another car, though, that certainly wasn't too hard to drive. You did have to be a little bit more careful with this vehicle, partly because of the stupendous acceleration, also a little bit because of the suspension. As I said, you know, at the start, it didn't quite wheelie, but the front end certainly did want to lift up from time to time. You could feel it going around the corners as well, the front end wanting to lift up a little bit, so you had to be aware of that. You can see the acceleration out of the turns that you could do with the car. There was good corner grip in general. You could throw it about through these turns, and the brakes certainly weren't too bad considering the speed that the car was getting up to. The brakes didn't do too bad of a job at getting it slowed down, but you did have to be again quite careful with some of the bumps. Didn't see any huge accidents across the bumps, which surprised me considering the suspension was interesting on this car. For the most part, it dealt with them fairly well. Had to be wary of rolling the car as well, as you see through there. Kind of was thinking about going up on two wheels again. Plenty of airtime down here as the car is bouncing around from side to side. Again, we throw it down the side road, and again another car that didn't really have major problems with going through those bushes, which is 3 in a row. It's quite rare for me on this series. Around the final turn with the Ruf, using much of the acceleration as we can, although it did struggle a little bit to get turned around there, and sure enough, the car, it was never going to stop. The acceleration is pretty damn impressive in this vehicle, although no major harm was done in that one. I couldn't quite get it stopped neatly under control for the end of this little piece of trail. Didn't actually do too much damage to the car. Another vehicle that I really quite liked driving down Chiliad. I loved the acceleration on this car. Just had to be that little bit wary with the suspension as we go for a donut, and very nearly get myself into trouble doing that. I should be more careful with these cars. On to the times, and it was a mighty fast time from the Alfa. A 1:19.3 puts it into 9th place. It is only beaten by 4 cars, 2 F1 vehicles, the other F1 being in 4th place, the T20 and the Adder. So that is a seriously fast time, and it felt quick. The Alfa, it felt really quick. It was the amount of speed you could carry through the corners that was so impressive with the 4C. A little further down, we find the Yellowbird in 23rd place with a 1:24.2. and the NSX in 31st with a 125.2. I thought the Yellowbird might be a slight bit quicker than that because of the blistering acceleration. I don't think it can quite carry the corner speed of the likes of the 4C. The NSX, well, we saw the problems, it just didn't quite like going down the course, the bumpy nature of the course, and that's not to be that surprising really with the car. So it's still not a bad time though, 25.2, up there with the Hyundai, the Carrera GT, that sort of area. I mean, the Yellowbird is the same time as that mighty Peugeot, and a tenth of a second faster than the McLaren GT3 car. So they're both respectable times, certainly. They are slightly overshadowed, though, by that 4C that was a really very, very good car. I would highly recommend having a go with that, as I would with all of the mods here, even with the NSX. A slightly strange glitch going on with that. Yeah, definitely that 4C is a fantastic overall car. Surviving off-road courses as well as that is, yeah, really rather impressive. I will, as ever, put links to all of the mods that I've used in the description so you can download them, have a go or with them yourself. But that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.